Welcome back to Wines du Jour. We're having a good time having some beautiful Pinot Noir with a little smoky bacon wrapped shrimp over a little bit of creamy grits. And the creaminess comes from the mascarpone cheese. It's been added to the grits once it's cooked. Try a little bit of grits by itself and then take a sip of the wine. It tastes completely different than it does when you have the shrimp and the it's because the grits and that mascarpone cheese goes really well with that Pinot Noir. Now, I mentioned about the shrimp reduction and putting the shells and the tails, a little bit of onion and a little bit of garlic with water, let's say 2 cups into a sauce pot, and then turn it on high till it comes to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and let it reduce from 2 cups down to 1 cup. Now you have 1 cup of really tasty shrimp stock. And let me tell you, you can do so much with that. If you are going to have, let's just say as an example, a little fillet of fish for dinner, and you're going to put it on the grill. And let's just say it's tuna, just for the sake of discussion. You take it, you put a little extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper on both sides, put it on the grill for a couple minutes, turn it over for a couple minutes. Do not cook it until it's well done. It's against the law to do that. It's a $300 fine, you know, if you, I'm just kidding. But you don't want tuna well done. And take it off and take some of this stock. And actually you could take, if you wanted to, maybe a teaspoon, that's all, just a teaspoon of cornstarch and put it into a little jar that you have a lid for it and fill it about halfway up with water, put the lid on and just shake the heck out of it so that you dissolve that cornstarch in water and then pour it into that stock that you've got in the pot. It will thicken up like a sauce, and then when you take that tuna off the grill, you can pour some of that over the top of it, and let me tell you, excellent taste. If you want to squeeze a little lime or a little lemon on top of that, it would be wonderful. So it's easy to cook and it's tasty at the same time. So I suggest you give it a try. That's what you would call a shrimp reduction. It just simply means you've reduced the volume. And the only thing, incidentally, when you reduce anything, whether it's chicken stock, beef stock, veal stock, shrimp stock, anytime you reduce it, the only thing that leaves the pot is water. The flavor and taste of the chicken or the shrimp or whatever it might be stays there. So what you're doing in effect in the food business, we would call that taking it, and that reduction is you're intensifying the flavor. So the water is gone, the flavor tastes bigger and better than it ever has up to that point, and then you use that to make a sauce. You can add a little butter to it. You can do a lot of things with that shrimp reduction or chicken reduction. You could do the same thing with chicken stock, veal stock, vegetables, and no meat. You can do it, all that by intensifying or reducing it. That's what really makes it taste good. You know, chefs like myself were years before we figured that out. You know, the French, they're really great at making sauces and so on, and most of their sauces have cream and butter like crazy. This is back in the old days, so to speak. And so it was not healthy to eat all that. It tasted good, but you know, you eat it, you wear it. And what happened then is we discovered back in the 70s that if you take reductions and use those in lieu of whole cream and or whole butter, lots of it, you find that you have the taste, but you don't have the negative parts that go along with it. So what we have discovered, just to make a long story short, is any type of stock reduction, I'll just use shrimp since that's what we're talking about. When you get it from 2 cups down to 1 cup and you're going to use it, take 1 patty, not a pound, not a quarter pound, not half a pound, but 1 patty of butter and throw it in that stock and let it melt and turn it off the heat. And as soon as it melts, what you're doing is you're getting the butter taste and flavor in that stock, but not the calories and all the other things that go along with it. So that's what we learned in the chef business, if you will, on making sauces. So we can make gravy today that's not so fattening, where 25 years ago, boy, you know, there's people in the South, you know, they like all that. They're all walking around. They can't get in and out of their truck, you know, because they love that gravy. Well, now they can still eat, you know, within moderation, the gravy, but they're not going to gain that kind of weight because it's made different, even though it has great taste and flavor. So we've learned over the years how to do that. Okay, now let's go to wine number 3 before we go to our final break. It happens to be one of my favorite kind of meats. I mean, I love beef. I grew up eating beef almost every day, like most people in my age group. And we find out that that wasn't the smart thing to do health-wise. So we had to start eating chicken, and we had to start eating fish and things that we didn't pay much attention to up to that point, except maybe fried chicken, you know, that kind of thing. But now we've discovered that we can do a lot of things. One of my favorite meats, even though it is a red meat, is lamb. It's much healthier for you than beef. It has a different taste, and don't ever tell me that it has that mutton taste. It's not mutton, folks. It's lamb. Let me just tell you the difference. Age. If it's 6 months old or older, it's mutton. If it's 6 months old or less, it's lamb. Never the twain shall meet. They do not taste the same. The older lamb gets, the more taste and flavor it has. Some people like it, most people don't. But up to 6 months, there is no negative taste to it. It tastes like lamb, but it's not in a negative way. So if you haven't had lamb before, go to your local restaurant and ask for some lamb chops and try it. You'll be amazed at how good they taste. We've got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about wine number 3, which is the J. Lohr Seven Oaks Cabernet Sauvignon, the 2010, to go with a lamb chop. And we'll talk about that in more detail. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back coast to coast and around the world on the internet right here on Wines du Jour. Be back in a moment.